Series podcast. I am your host, Stephanie Kathan, and today we are joined by Rhonda Liebig. She is the visionary founder of Fresh Talks Global Vision Mindset Transformation Entertainment, a dynamic platform devoted to elevating human consciousness through courageous conversations, transformational storytelling, and heart-centered leadership. A global speaker, a mindset mentor, a creative change maker, Rhonda is known for helping individuals and communities release shame, dissolve blame, and step into authentic self-expression. Through her work, her live experiences, her global initiatives, she creates space where healing, empowerment, and meaningful dialogue converge, inspiring people to reclaim their voice, rewrite their inner narrative, and become agents of conscious change in today's world. And I am so thankful to have her in my world. Please help me welcome Rhonda Liebig. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And I love that introduction. I am stepping more into this role of looking at really why I'm here, opening the voices. And it's helping this world feel safer. There's a lot of conversation out there, and how can we bring the frequency up? So this conversation to me is really important.
I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so thankful for the platform that you've created. We actually, Rhonda and I connected and met through the International Speaker Network. Mm-hmm. And then she invited me onto her show, Fresh Talks Global Vision. And what an experience. Just the energy of the panel that you had speaking, the dialogue that was able to come through, none of it was scripted. It was just so authentic and real. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate about you and what you do, is that authentic piece, because not everyone knows how to tap into that authentic self-expression.
Yeah.
Not only do they not know how to, they've never been able to. It's been kind of discouraged, right?
Yeah.
So I have some questions for you. What was the moment in your life when you realized that shame and blame were not just personal experiences, but like collective patterns that needed a new conversation?
Oh yeah, that's a really good question. I think it's a great way to start too. And to take a step back, with the Fresh Talks Global Vision, it has a few different gyrations, but I've been doing this for over 10 years now. And I'm just watching the industry of like where the shifts are. And before I thought I was in purpose of making sure that I heard somebody's story, because I knew the stories were real important. And then I started getting to the fact of, well, I'm realizing that I'm here and I'm doing a good job, but I feel like I'm really here to open voices. Like that's what podcasts are about. But then I started noticing that the lowest low of like energies that you can have from being really enjoy to being happy, having a pretty good day, shame is one of the lowest vibrations you can be in. I know I was feeling that all the time, but I didn't understand it was shame. But I knew that when I was in that mode, that I was like feeling deeply pushed down, even muck on my skin. And there's like this whole experience of starting to recognize these things I was dealing with. So I'm inward in myself, learning these things. And it started when I was taking medicine for 20 years, and I've been off now for over a decade. And I was like, oh, well, you can go back there, Rhonda, 20 years of medicine. If you keep doing this whole thing about dropping into shame and then letting your people around you that you choose to have around you, they know how to push those buttons and put shame and push that button. And I got to the moment of like, this isn't just about me, but it was, because it was that feeling of growing and understanding first what that meant. So this is what helps me keep off of medicine, is knowing and understanding what this means, knowing that there's skills around it. It's not just, I'm going to have a better day today, because subconsciously we have 60,000, 70,000 words that happen in our mind. 80% is known to be negative. I know if we do this really good work, it's less than that, but just on, and this is saying general, 90% is what keeps going over and over again. So I started noticing, I created this top 10 sabotage list. So there's like these words that mean something. And each step, I started noticing that there are people that were having a very difficult time talking about these things about themselves. And I started seeing the shame come over them. And there's always a story around it. It's not just like, oh, I'm having a moment of shame. It's like, not everybody goes into shame, but I'd say a high percentage of us go into shame. That's how we get controlled. Is, we're going like, oh, we're supposed to follow this. Oh, I don't want anybody to know about my health. Oh, I don't want anybody to know about myself. Oh, something just happened over here. Like that is fear. But the shame is where we get controlled, where we're like, it shuts us down. It shuts our mouth. We don't go out and tell people what's happening within our life. And we can't get out of our own world, that we can't be there for anybody else. As a parent, it's one of the hardest things to be a parent about. So what
it doesn't just come like shame by itself either. Like it's
tethered.
It has layers of guilt and all sorts of other like energies that are attached to it, which make it so freaking heavy. Yeah. It's so heavy.
I had somebody tell me I was showing up like a wet noodle, and it actually meant something to me. And it was within a big group. But I didn't feel shame when she called me out on it. I started laughing and going, thank you, because it meant I was moving forward. It really brought me into my heart. So I started noticing people are dealing with this. And I was like, you know what? If we start focusing in, not on people's businesses, not on what they're exactly money-wise, what they're doing, because I think money is a thing that we could have shame around. But let's talk about money just for a moment. That money is part of the energy of that, plus food, plus health and all that stuff. If we just focus in on money, that's really a brain thing and really gets us in a really weird space. And a lot of people are there. But if we can open that up, I was starting to realize I want to talk about how they're making money, because how they're doing that, if I can have them in their heart center, which means opening them up, they're going to talk about all these other things. And that's going to be the conversation where they won't start getting really weird, because they won't be in the brain, they'll be in the heart. It'll be easier for them to serve and explain what they're doing more. And some people get pushed back a little bit, like you can tell they're trying to break through, which is really cool. It's still a very good podcast interview, because you're watching somebody authentically not be perfect, which I think we all like that every single day. And so You're not trying to be perfect. You get a true story out of somebody, but everybody knows why they're doing what they're doing. So how can I get them there so we can do what I call hashtag speaker locking arms? You as a speaker, you as a communicator, that we're locking arms together. So you're not out there, alone, feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed to get out there. But it's more, let's get out there as a collective. If you have your heart opened up more through this podcast and this conversation, you're going to be able to serve in a way where people really learn something that they didn't even know that they had to have a breakthrough, like, and not have to, but that they get to. So it could be raw and vulnerable, show up that way, painful, or it can be elated and aloof. And you're just like flying high to something new, but it's all, how can we ground that so it really means purpose? And a lot of that has to do with just, with just journaling. Like I've been journaling today. So just journaling so you can see it in black and white. And so I started noticing that's why that's important. When I would say go journal, I would think it was like a task. And at first it didn't fly very well. And then when people say, oh, about journaling, I go, okay, let's just hold on here. So to get this disseminated, not just the podcast, but making sure people are saying what their breakthrough is and any insight, because everybody's very smart. So give it to them to say, what are you feeling? Write that in your journal so that you can see where that's taking you.
I love journaling. It is such a powerful tool. And it's also a tool for release. Like it just helps you get stuff from the inside out to the page. It's great on so many levels for getting clarity and for releasing the stuff that just no longer serves us. I love that.
Yeah. I love the clarity thing. Because someone said, I learned this thing. I said, okay, did you do that next step? Because now we know, but now we want you to actually feel what the next steps are, because that in itself is going to be aloof and go somewhere. But how can we move that forward? So the journaling is so big. Like before, I was letting people get off on not journaling. It's like, no, journaling's fun. You wait till you get into it.
It really is. And
Yeah.
what I found for myself is it's in the practice itself, right? You can write a few lines, you can keep a book,
Yeah.
but the real magic happens when you are consistent, right, with it. That was the case for me anyway. I started to notice change when I was consistent with the practice of it.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll wake up at 3 in the morning. It's not a time that you usually want to get up. But if you have a big breakthrough, I'm finding that I will forget when I wake up the next day what I wrote. And when I look at it, I go, "Oh, I'm so glad I wrote that, because it was a breakthrough and I would have missed
Right?
it. That means I'd have to learn it again if my cells didn't, change. Because we have to really remember our breakthroughs, because it's so fresh. I heard information one time, and it took me a few months to actually pull it back out because it was so big it overwhelmed me. And I was like, "Oh, here, wait!" Like the hashtag speaker locking arms. I was in Venice, Italy, going for a walk by myself. My family would be sleeping about this time. About 5:30, I'd get out there and go for a walk, watch a sunrise. And I was like going to a convention center, which I didn't know I was. I just kept saying, "Go down this walkway. Don't just keep walking straight, Rhonda, by the water. Go that way." And I was like, "I don't want to. It looks dark down there." I walked down there. And that's when I starting to listen to myself more, because I looked at the billboard where the convention center was, and it was a humanitarian project. People are coming together, flying from the world, to talk about how to serve this world in a better place. And I started thinking about, I'm already talking about hashtag speaker locking arms, but what came to me is something everybody gets to have the experience when you start listening to yourself. I started crying and I said, "This is why I'm here. Now stand into it deeper, Rhonda, because you are here to change lives. You're here to," which everybody is. Come on, everybody, let's step into this. This is, no matter what you're doing, how are you changing lives? How are you serving, seeing what you're doing? You may not be doing exactly what you want to do right now, but you're showing up somehow, serving something. And how are you doing it? And those gems will tell you how you can do it even bigger by just being aware of that.
I love that. And one of the best moments in life, like, come when you're following that inner guidance. You didn't know why you were being led down that way, but you had faith enough to follow your intuition
Yeah.
and take that lead.
Yeah,
And I
because
think
before I wouldn't. Yeah, before I wouldn't. It'd sound boring and dumb, and everything that's supposed to be really good for new for me. I'd be like, "Oh, that's boring." And I started having a breakthrough some years ago about that one.
it really ties into the authentic self expression, right? Because it's that authentic self expressing through with guidance.
Yeah,
And when we listen, usually good things happen. And when we don't,
yeah,
when we're like, no, 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 then we're like, oh, I should have done that. Oh, I could have done that.
they always call it hindsight, huh? And hindsight, it's like, well, because you missed that spot. When you're in the better and more open, the better you'll get, and the more open you will be, the more you will understand there's no good or bad in this world. You start recognizing that, no, there's just things that you're becoming aware of, but where is this taking you? Because that's information, and it makes
Mm.
life easier and more insightful. And then you can feel your feelings, which can be kind of scary, but then you get used to it. You just know it's going to be okay.
What would you say to somebody who may be feeling a lot of shame in their life for whatever reason? They're not talking about it, they're just holding it. They know they feel it, but they don't know what to do with it. Do you have any suggestions for them?
Some may not even know that they have a shame button. So this may be an awakening for somebody right now, just hearing this question. So if you're becoming aware of it, or you are aware of it, and you know somebody's utilizing that and controlling you, or you have somebody in your world that deals with this, please share with them this audio or video first off. If you're the one dealing with it and you didn't realize that, get to a journal so you can really start talking. You can talk to yourself out loud and then get to writing, understand where this comes from. It depends on your spiritual journey and where you believe all this, how this stuff works. But for sure, understanding how does it happen that you're carrying this? That's real important to kind of like have a little bit of like insight, just a little bit. So then you can say, kind of put some girth to it. And then you can say, okay. And because you can start washing it away just by being aware of it. Because if you just say, oh, just stop carrying, this, then you won't have respect of like, well, how did it get in there? So you want to kind of pull that seed out just to be aware. So then you can lift it and say, well, this is not mine to carry. This is not something that I'm supposed to be carrying. This is one of my breakthroughs I'm supposed to be having now. So if you're feeling shame, that's number one, which seems kind of out there and grayish, but I'm telling you, once you get into it, it will be very meaningful for you. I used to, when I was in corporate, I used to watch over philanthropic funds, and the way everything worked felt so gray, and there was no black and white, and I couldn't figure out how to report this stuff. And then when I started getting in deeper and deeper, it was the work and understanding that each step and stroke and what I understood all of a sudden became very clear. So I want you to be guided that way, to know you're okay by starting off something you really don't understand, but it'll come to you. Especially if I'm saying it, it means that I've been there too. The next thing is knowing that you're going to be okay, and that don't have shame on shame that you didn't know about it. Learn that it is a way where I call like a fail safe. You can be like, oh, I've been failing. And I believe that when you put it in a safe space, we need that failure, if that's what you want to call it, or learning, so that we can move forward. It's a way to release shame out of your body, because all of a sudden you start getting this girth right in your spine. And that's where a lot of your nerve endings are. And all the stress you've been carrying, your nervous system has been doing this, trying to reset itself. So you haven't had the capacity to think straight. When you start really calling yourself out of like, okay, it's time to be aware and I want to be activated around this area. So first, get to your journal. Next is be very aware. Listen to your spine. Are you ready to really move to that next level, which is to start seeing yourself and start loving on yourself more? Shame makes you do something where you can be angry at somebody, but what happens is, if you know this thing, like you're pointing to somebody with the three fingers back, you've heard that before probably, but what's happening is you don't really know what's deep going inside. Shame actually takes you to a point where you think you're like, I'm mad at that person, because it's the frontal lobe is saying that. Deep inside those 60, 70,000 words, it has control over you. You know what you're doing? Those three fingers coming back are reason why you're angry at yourself. And and once you start getting quiet and you start writing, you're going to understand you are not mad at that person. That person activated you, and this is for you to take on. And why have you been saying all these things that you didn't know that you were saying bad about yourself? And you're saying, I'm mad at you because of this. I'm mad because of that. And you're talking and you're beating yourself down. So you are actually shutting yourself down. Third thing is, that other person that's doing that to you, they won't have the power over you, and it's not their fault. It was when you didn't have the information. Don't be hard on yourself. Now that you have the information, you're listening to this interview, you want to be listening to yourself and say, how can I take this on? Because I've had three fingers pointing back to me, which has been very powerful. I'm realizing I've been shutting myself down. From there, next level is number 4, go get some guidance or something, unless you're just jamming and you just heal from this conversation, but you want somebody a few steps ahead of you at least to help you get out of it, because you want to rid yourself of this, because it'll keep coming back over and over. Every time you level up, you're going to go into that deepest shame that you've ever felt in your life. And nobody will know what that means, because whatever shame that you dealt with, nobody's had those experiences, so it's hard to explain it, and that'll shut you down and it'll stop you from moving forward. And we need you out there as leaders. There's too much going on out there that we really want a strong, positive joy knowing that life isn't like that. So we want the tools to be able to work on that so we can hold and lock arms together to make this house, this world, our neighborhood, globally, whatever, safe.
That was so powerful, everything that you just said. And I just want to even add to it. You recommended going and getting some guidance. And sometimes that means creating your own community, your own circle. Because a lot of times we try to go get validation from people who aren't going to make the same decisions that we want to make anyway, but we're seeking their approval or whatever. And then when they don't, we're like, oh, ashamed that we even are thinking of doing this, because who are we anyway? It creates all this stuff, right? But when you create a community like the International Speaker Network, I'm a member of the Monday Afternoon Club, Wendy Barr's thing that she does. I found it really important to surround myself with people who want the same things, who are working towards the same things, who will support you in that. Can you speak to the importance of creating community? Because I know we're in a couple of communities together, so I know that it's important to you as well.
Yeah. First off is I was just on a coaching call, and this whole thing about leadership and guiding a community is really important, because sometimes we stop ourselves from just being able to be a quiet leader, or a loving leader, not a coming from the brain boisterous. I think we're around lovely people, don't you think so, Stephanie? People that are just guiding people so awesomely, and they're a leader. You can feel their energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I'm a leader too, and I see this that here, this is where my ranch is, where I do some things, and so I do bring community together, and it is important to have like-minded people that you can feel safe around. You could say anything, and then people don't look at you anyway, and you just keep speaking. You'll hear it. Usually people stop me by their looks and whatever, and then that again is not the right community. If you're going to your friends, perhaps they can be elevated to what you're saying, but your friends usually are kind of meeting you at the same level you're at. So there's some people that are coming for the ride, and they're going to come along with you, and they're going to keep growing along with you. And that's where some of the vulnerability about joining communities like this is some people will kind of pull away. And so being very conscientious about when you join communities and when you're bringing community together, that the vulnerability, which is going to be very good for you in the long run, is that you are going to be growing, which is perfect and exactly what you want. You're going to rid yourself of shame. But the other part to why sometimes people don't go in community is because they're afraid to level up, because they know, like, oh, Joe or Katrina or like they're not going to be in my life anymore because they're going to see me as I'm crazy, and so it could stop you. So you are learning to really be yourself each time you decide to go into a community. And some people will see it wrong and say, or they'll have an opinion about it. And anybody that has an opinion about your life, really, they don't know your life, though. Even if you have a partner that keeps telling you you're wrong, and you're like, oh, I am, yeah, and because that's where the shame will keep you. Remember that nobody really knows your story, no matter how long you've been with them. Even if they say you're wrong, you're really not. You're trying to be yourself. Allow yourself to go into those communities, or prepare yourself for the stuff that we were talking about, because community is where you're going to move forward and feel safe.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Rhonda, let people know, where can they go to tune into you, to tap into your wisdom, to shine in your brilliance, so they can
enough all that. I mean, like, it's so, like, I have to keep saying in my heart so I can, like, absorb that. Like, if I get in the brain, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're saying too much. But I love what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, is that we're all growing here, and I feel like I'm in a very big growth experience. And so what you said, I received. Thank you, Stephanie. I love that. Well, I do have a group. We have probably 12,000 something people and keep growing. It is the Fresh Talks Global Vision private group. in Facebook. So if you look for Fresh Talks Global Vision, you'll find us and ask to join. We keep growing like 1,000 a month or something. It's crazy how fast we're growing. And then to understand how to be with me, there's free services, there's ways to connect with me, to know if you want to come here in the Sacramento area and be part of a dinner or retreat. Definitely, you're going to find that at my name. You'll see here, rhondaliebig.com. And then it has a /tree, because it's a tree of services, tree of free things, ways to connect with me through social media. You'll be able to find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, all the different places, because the icons are down there. So those are the two places you'll want to go. So you'll see my last name looks like Liebig. It's German, so we say Liebig. So Rhonda Liebig. And then so you'll be able to find that. And if you do forward.com/tree, TREE, that's where you'll find how you can connect with me more.
I will also put a link in the description of this interview for everybody so they can connect with you. If you were to give one piece of advice to somebody who may be just starting out in their awareness, knowing that they want more, knowing that they are meant for more, but they might be just kind of feeling that imposter syndrome that we all get. What advice would you give to them?
Let me give you some information around that, and then the advice will make more sense. If you have imposter syndrome, then it's all about you. And so then that will stop you. And don't have any shame around this, because you know where that comes from? When you're working with your mind. Yeah, that's all it has to do with. There's enough to do with, it's all about you, because that is rude when people actually say that. That is very obnoxious, because usually when it's all about us, it means we're in a fight or flight situation. We can't get out of it. We can't figure out how to actually be there with others. So we got to understand how we use our words. If you can do your heart work, I usually do it through listening to different podcasts. I looked over at my journal, writing, talking to someone that really loves you, that will listen to you. That'll get you into your heart. So then you can really start looking at how to love on yourself more by listening. And I guess really being quiet. Because I couldn't sit without having quiet. I'd get really scared. So whatever happens, learn to get more and more quiet and figure out the tools to be able to do that, because that's where your information is. Nobody can tell you what to do. You can have people telling you what to do, but it doesn't take you anywhere. It just takes you following rules, putting on different masks. I was on hypothyroid medicine for 20 years. That took me to, putting on a mask and following what people say, other people say. And it confused me. I didn't know why I didn't feel so good in life. I just knew that if I showed up, I'd be following everybody's rules and it'd make me feel better. So think about that for yourself too. Just kind of play with all that. And I'd say listen to this a few times, because the words have layers, but you're going to see some girth in there as you go in deeper. It's going to mean something to you each time that you listen to that. I think this podcast in itself, just the things, Stephanie was saying some great things, and the questions that you're asking, Stephanie, and then just having this conversation, this deserves at least another listen to, but maybe a few times, almost like it's like your coaching session. So then you can just be driving and listening to it, or you can be doing something that you feel like you can be activated by, even writing or talking out loud. If my brain's going at me, I'll be like, oh, be quiet. I'll do something like that. And I'm talking to myself because I've talked louder than what's going into my head. That's, they're trying to shame me. I hear it coming. I'm like, so whatever you have to do. If people think you're crazy, don't put on a mask. Just calm and be yourself.
I love that so much. I want to thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Everybody, if this is the first time you're meeting Rhonda, please go tune into her brilliance. You can find her at Fresh Talks Global Vision on Facebook. You can find her at rhondaliebig.com, where you can tune into more of her goodies and wisdom. And please just follow her. If you see her name, know that it's a place that you want to be. And thank you so much, Rhonda, for joining us today. We
I'm blowing you
appreciate
kisses
you.
because some of this is an audio. I'm blowing kisses to you, Stephanie, and the
Thank
audience.
you.
I love
Thank
you.
you. Love received. I am your host, Stephanie Kathan. You've been listening to the MindGrow Radio Storyteller Series podcast with our special guest, Rhonda Liebig from Fresh Talks Global Vision, Mindset Transformation Entertainment. And until we meet again, keep shining in your brilliance. See you later, everybody.